Om Shri Padmatmane Namaham. Namaste, devotees, and Jai Sita Ram. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday morning satsang this beautiful December 12th, 2021. Before we commence with our prayers for today, devotees, I ask that you join together with me as we sing this very beautiful bhajan. As we ask Bhagwan to remove any ignorance from our life, remove all the darkness, grant us with the light of wisdom so we can follow the correct path to enjoy and live our lives appropriately. आज अंधेरे में है हमारे इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। आज अंधेरे में है हमारे इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। पर किरण बिचारे भगवान किरण बिचारे, इन अखियन को प्रभु करारे, इन अखियन को प्रभु करारे। ज्योति से पहचान, ज्योति से पहचान। आज अंधेर में है हमारे इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। संतान तिहारे प्रभु, संतान तिहारे। हम तो संतान तिहारे प्रभु, संतान तिहारे। तेरे ने आके हम अधिकारे प्रभु है हम अधिकारे। दुनिया होए सुखी हमारी, दुनिया होए सुखी हमारी। ऐसा दे वरदान, ऐसा दे वरदान। आज अंधेर में है हम इंसान, सूरज चमका दे भगवान। At this time, devotees, I ask that you all join together with me as you go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. Go ahead and take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, relax your spine, your shoulders, relax your neck and your forehead. With your body relaxed and your eyes closed, go ahead and take some time now, devotees, to focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus and join together with me as we chant our opening prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Nishavasyam Midam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktina Bhunjitam Magrudhatasya Svidhanam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. As we continue on, devotees, we offer prayers and chant the most powerful mantra in this universe. We join together in chanting the Gayatri mantra. Om Agakshe Varade Devi Akshare Brahmavadini Gayatri Jagat Matharva Shoyoni Namostute Om Bhure Bhuvaswa Tatsavitur Bharenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat Om Bhure Bhuvaswa Tatsavitur Bharenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat Om Bhure Bhuvaswaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Prem se bolo Gayatri Mata ki Jai. Continuing on, devotees, we offer prayers and obediences to that remover and destroyer of all obstacles in our life and in this universe. We join together as we offer prayers to Lord Ganesh. Om Shri Ganapate Namaha. Om Yajananam Bhuta Ganadhi Sevitam Kapita Jambhu Palachara Bhakshanam Umasutam Shokam Vinashakarakam Namamni Viganeshwara Para Pankajam Om Vakratunda Mahakayam Suryakoti Samaprabham Nirvighanam Kurme Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Raksha Raksha Ganadaksham Rakshatrelokya Rakshakar Bhaktanam Bhayam Karta Trata Bhava Bhavaranavar Om Shriman Mahaganadipate Namam Prem Svol Ganesh Bhagwan Ki Jai. As we pray further, devotees, we offer obediences to that mother of knowledge and learning in this universe and that mother of clarity of mind. We offer prayers to Mother Saraswati. For those of you who are going and approaching into your end of course exams, your EOCs, or EOCTs, end of the course test. For those of you who are approaching your last finals, for everybody who's trying to get through that last phase of this semester, as we pray to Mother Saraswati, we really truly focus on what she means and what she represents to our lives, which is diligence and knowledge and wisdom. Remember that she doesn't necessarily just give you that information. She provides you with that clarity for you to acquire that information on your own. Information is sought by how hard we work, and our duties as students to learn and understand so we can be successful in every educational endeavor. We join together as we pray. Om Saraswati Mahabhagye Vidye Kamala Luchine Vidyakrupe Vishalakshi Vidyam Dehi Namostute Om Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Om Mahasaraswati Namaha. We continue with our prayers, devotees, by offering obediences to that mother, that universal mother, and that destroyer of all evils in our lives. We join together as we offer prayers to Adi Shakti, Durga Mata. Om Mahadurgaye Namaha. Om Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhandra Kali Kapalini Durgakshama Shiva Dhatre Swaha Swadhana Mostute Jai Tvam Devi Chamunde Jai Pudharati Niharadini Jai Sarvagate Devi Kalaratre Namostute Adevi Sarvabhuteshu Vishnu Mayeti Shamdita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi देवी सर्वभूतेषु बुद्धिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु लक्ष्मीरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु श्रद्धारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शान्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु तुष्टिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु दयारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः. As we pray to Mother Durga, we say, O Durga Mata, thou art the universal mother, and we, your children, worship you in many forms. O Ma, we see you as a Buddhi, wisdom, the Lakshmi, prosperity, Shakti, energy, Shraddha, faith, Shanti, peace, Tushti, contentment, and Daya, compassion. And as we pray to you, O Ma, Namastasye, 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 Namo Namah, as we pray to you, O Ma, we bow to thee again and again. Devotees, we offer prayers to Mother Durga in the form of the universal mother, Matri. Ya Devi Sarvam Bhuteshu Matri Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah Dehi Sabhagyam Arogyam Dehi Me Paramam Sukham Rupam Dehi Jayam Dehi Yasho Dehi Vasho Jahi Om Mahadurgai Namo Namah Prem Shakti Durga Mata Ki Jai. As we continue on further with our prayers, devotees, we offer obediences to the most influential beings in our life. We offer prayers to the Navgraha Devi. Om Navgraha Devataye Namaha. Bharam Murari Stupura Kakari Bhanu Shashi Bhumi Suto Buddhascha Guruscha Shukraham Shani Rahu Keto Sarve Graha Shanti Kara Bhavantu Sarve Graha Shanti Kara Bhavantu. As we continue on, we offer prayers to that being that exists in the form of the sun and that sustainer of all life on this planet and in this universe. We offer prayers to Surya Narayan Bhagavan. Om Suryaya Namaha 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 Adideva Namastubhyam Prasiddha Mama Bhashkaram Divakara Namastubhyam Prabhakara Namostute Suryaya Namaha Suryaya Namaha Suryaya Namaha Suryaya Namaha. Om Prem se Bolo Navgraha Devata Ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Surya Narayan Bhagwan Ki Jai. I apologize, devotees, you'll have to forgive me. My throat is a little, it's being a little scratchy today. I had to mute for a second, but now that we're back, I ask that you join together with me as we continue on with our prayers, so that sustainer of all things dharmic and all things righteous in this universe, as we join together in offering prayers to Lord Vishnu. Om Vishnuve Namaham. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayana Padmanabham Surisham Vishwadharam Gagana Sandrisham Megavaranam Shubhanam Om Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Bhira Dhyana Gamyam Vande Vishnu Bhavabhaya Haram Sarvaloke Kanatam ॐ सशङ्खचक्रं सकिरीटकुण्डलं सपीतवस्त्रं सरसीरुहेक्षणं सहारवक्षस्थलशोभिकौस्तुभाश्रियं नमामि विष्णु शिरसा चतुर्भुजं नमामि विष्णु शिरसा चतुर्भुजं ओम प्रेम से बोलो विष्णु भगवान की जय। And finally, devotees, I ask that we join together now as we offer prayers to that universal Father and that universal Guru, that destroyer of all evils in our life and in this universe, as we join together and offer prayers to Lord Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Karpuragauram Karunavataram Samsarasa Bhujagendraharam Sadavasantam Hirdayardavinde Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Hari Shiva Rama Sakhi Prabhu Trivadathapanivarane Vibhu Achijanishwar Yadav Pahimam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Kamalalochana Ramadayanidhi Harangurunga Charakshaka Gopati Shivatano Bhava Shankar Pahimam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Swanaranjana Mangala Mandiram Manjati Te Purusha Paramam Param Bhavati Tasya Sukam Paramadbhutam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Jaya Yudhishthira Valamha Bhupati Jaya Jaya Harjita Punya Payonidhi Jaya Kripamaya Krishna Namostute Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Bhava Vimochana Madhava Mapate Sukha Vimana Sahansa Shivarate Janaka Jarata Raghava Rakshamam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Avani Mandala Mangala Mapate Jhalada Sundhara Rama Ramapate Nighama Kirti Gunarnava Gopate Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Patita Pavana Nama Mailata Tamo Yashogamalam Preghiyate Harapi Madhavamam Kimu Pakshate Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Amarata Paradevaramapati Jayatastava Nama Ganupama Maikatam Karunarnavajayate Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Hanumatam Preyatapakaram Prabhu Surasardrita Sikhara Himuru Manavibhava Kim Smaranam Kritam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Narahari Ratiranjana Sundharam Patatiya Shiva Rama Vatastavam Vishati Rama Ramacharananam Bhoje Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram Shiva Hare Vijayam Kurumevaram. Om Namah Shivaya. Devotees, we offer this next prayer for all those suffering from various illnesses, diseases, injuries, and ailments. We ask that they have a fast, speedy, and full recovery. But I also wanted to make a quick announcement before I say this next part. There's 2 souls that we've had that have departed from this world over this past week, devotees. The first is my Aunt Nancy's brother. His name was Hector Nunez. He passed away this week. I know that he's having the wake today and they're performing the funeral tomorrow, the burial tomorrow. But over the week as well, devotees, we lost a member of our community as well. At some point in the evening, he passed away. Uncle Balkaran has moved on from this physical world to the next life, and his soul is moving on to another journey. I know at this time, devotees, we don't have any updates as regards to when wakes will be held or when the funeral will be. I will be speaking with the family today, and as we find more information out, I will make sure to get an email sent out to every single one of you in regards to that information. But to Uncle Balkaran's family, we want to let you know that the entire community is still here with you. Our hearts go out to you, our condolences go out to you, and our support is there with you every step of the way. To my Aunt Nancy, and to her family as well, we want to let you know that if there's anything that you need from us, the entire community, our hearts, our condolences, our minds are with all of you on this very difficult time. But as we continue on with this prayer, devotees, we offer that prayer for those transitioning from this world to the next. If you could, and I ask, keep Hector and Uncle Balkaran in your minds, that their passage may be a smooth and tranquil. Om Dhayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandanatam Ritvamukshio Mamrutat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandanatam Ritvamukshio Mamrutat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandanatam Ritvamukshio Mamrutat Om Ganganapataye Namaha, Om Karatikiye Namaha, Om Nandishwaraya Namaha, Om Vasukiye Namaha, Om Shri Sam Sadha Shivaya Namaha. Prem se bolo Shiva Shankara Bhagwan ki jai. As I've mentioned, devotees, in regards to the passing of Uncle Balkaran, we will have some more additional information for you all as we get things planned out for him. But please stay tuned and check your emails. If you do not have your name on the email list, or if you have not been getting emails from the Shiv Shakti Mandir, you can contact our secretary, Elise, or you can send me an email at shivshaktimandirga@gmail.com. That's shivshaktimandirga@gmail.com, and I'll make sure that your email address gets put onto our email serve so you're getting continuous updates. As we continue on, devotees, I once again want to thank Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani for their continued support in their virtual Sunday morning services by recording a very beautiful bhajan and singing it and letting us play it during our Sunday morning services. We'll move over to listen to that very beautiful bhajan at this time, and then we'll come back to continue on with our sermon.
Prabhu tero naam, Prabhu tero naam, जो ध्याये पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम प्रभु तेरो नाम जो ध्याये पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम तेरी दया हो जाए तो दाता तेरी दया हो जाए तो दाता जीवन धन मिल जाए मिल जाए मिल जाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम चुदियाए पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम तू दानी तू अंतरयामी तू दानी तू अंतरयामी तेरी प्रका हो जाए तो स्वामी हर बिगड़ी बन जाए जीवन धन मिल जाए मिल जाए मिल जाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम जो ध्याये पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम प्रभु तेरो नाम जो ध्याये पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम बस जाए मोरा सोना अंगना खिल जाए मोरा मुरझा कंगना जीवन में रस आए जीवन धन मिल जाए मिल जाए मिल जाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम जो ध्याए पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम प्रभु तेरो नाम प्रभु तेरो नाम जो ध्याए पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम प्रभु तेरो नाम जो ध्याए पल पाए सुख लाए तेरो नाम.
Once again, devotees, I'd like to thank Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani for recording that bhajan and sending it in for us to listen to during our virtual Sunday morning services. Devotees, before the year's end, if there's anybody else who would like to record or send anything in, whether it be a song or a speech, a dance, if you have anything that you want to do, maybe some words of encouragement or words of wisdom for the community, I ask that you go ahead and do so. Just record it as simple as pulling up the voice memo app on your iPhone or the recording software on your Android. Apologize, I don't know exactly what the name of that app would be. And then emailing it to us at Shiv Shakti Mandir, ga@gmail.com. And I can edit it from there and then upload it if you need me to do that as well. But for those of you who have anything else that you'd like to say or contribute, please do so. We will still continue to have all of our Sunday morning services as we continue on here with the remaining of what year are we in? 2021. At this time, devotees, for those of us who have a guru, I ask that we join together as we offer a prayer to our guru. If not, then I ask that you take Lord Shiva in your mind as your universal guru, as you join together with me and we pray. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namah. Om Dhyana Moolam Guru Murti Puja Moolam Guru Param Mantra Moolam Guru Vakyam Moksha Moolam Guru Kripal Prem Se Guru Deo Ki Jai. Shrimad Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Krishna Narayana 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 Krishna Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Krishna Narayana 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 Krishna Narayana 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 Krishna Narayana 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 Krishna Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana 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 Shrimad Narayana Narayana Narayana. Devotees, last week we were continuing on with the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, and we had just finished Canto 1, Chapter 2 of the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. And that chapter was known as Divinity and Divine Service. So we talked about what divinity and divine service is, and how we could be more devoted towards Bhagwan and more devoted towards life. But we concluded with that chapter, and we were going to move on to finish and start, and actually not even finish, but to start chapter 3 of Canto 1. So remember, a canto in the Srimad Bhagavad Puran is like a book. Canto 1 is known as the book of creation, and chapter 3 is known as Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So we're moving further. We talked about what devotion is, but now we're talking about Bhagwan Shri Krishna and how he's the source of incarnations, and what all that means. So as we go on, Srila Sutta Goswami is continuing to tell the sages, in the beginning, the Supreme Lord assumed for the creation of the worlds the form of the original person, composed of the 16 elements, and the cosmic intelligence, all as such. Resting in his meditative slumber in that water, we talk about the churning of the Milky Ocean, out of the lotus that spread from the lake of his navel, Brahma was manifested, the master of the progenitors in the universe. One supposes the different worlds to be part of the form of the Fortunate One that constitutes the excellence of the purest existence. In perfect vision, his form is seen as having numerous legs, thighs, arms, faces, and wonderful heads, ears, eyes, noses, and all glowing with countless garlands, earrings, and dresses. This source of the multifarious incarnations is the imperishable seed from which the plenary portions originate, as also the portions thereof, such as gods, the human beings, and the animals. So he's talking about the beginning, the creation of Bhagwan Vishnu, Bhagwan Krishna. And he's saying that he came from the churning of the ocean. He came, and from him was manifested quite a number of things. But it also goes on to describe what God looks like. We've talked about this before. How do you describe what Bhagwan looks like? How do you describe his physical attributes? And here it even says it in verse 4. It says, in his perfect vision, his form is seen as having numerous legs, thighs, arms, and faces, with wonderful heads, ears, eyes, and noses, all glowing with countless garlands, earrings, and dresses. When we try to understand the form of Bhagwan Vishnu, of Narayan, that Supreme Lord, what we'll have to envision is infinity. And the best way to talk about this, and I talked about this before with some of the kids at the Mandir, is the way you would think about Bhagwan is if you were to look into a kaleidoscope. And I don't know if a lot of you know what a kaleidoscope is. A kaleidoscope is a little toy, and it's just a tube. And when you look inside one end of the tube, it actually has, the other end has a piece of glass that has a bunch of designs or fractals on it. So it takes whatever image you're seeing and it multiplies it infinitely or a number of times. It makes it look very different than what it looks like. And what I would call that is kind of like a lens of truth. Because if you look at a person through that lens, you're going to actually see what Bhagwan looks like. Or at least an example of what you would see if he were to manifest in front of you in his absolute, his true form. So he is the source of many incarnations. He's the imperishable seed from which the planetary portions originate, and the portions of gods, human beings, and animals come from. We are his creations. We are everything to him. God, human beings, animals, this entire earth, everything around you is a creation of Bhagwan. It was a creation of that Supreme Lord, Narayan. But then we start talking about him in multiple ways, in multiple forms. So the question that I have for you today, devotees, is how many incarnations does Bhagwan Vishnu have? How many incarnations does Bhagwan Vishnu have? We know that the chapter is titled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So he's the source of all incarnations. But how many incarnations does Bhagwan Vishnu have? The Srimad Bhagavad Puran talks about each one of those in detail. But in chapter 3, we outline them. Now, a lot of you probably got checked and said, oh, I know the answer to this one. The answer to this question is that 10. Bhagwan Vishnu has 10 incarnations, or 10 forms that he incarnated onto this earth in. And that is actually an incorrect statement. The 10 forms that we discussed for Bhagwan Vishnu are the 10 forms in which he manifested on this world to change the balance between good and evil. That doesn't mean those are his only incarnations onto this world. And that's not something we get to talk about too often. Yeah, we do focus on those 10 incarnations of Bhagwan Vishnu time and time again as we discuss and worship and how we perform our pujas. But the Bhagavad Puran, the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, outlines all of the forms he has. As a matter of fact, it outlines, let's see, what is it? About 20 forms. And we're going to go through all 20 of those forms today. And the reason we're going over them today, devotees, the reason I'm going to tell you about all 20 forms is because as we continue on in the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, we're going to talk about some of these forms specifically and what they mean and why they mean what they do and, what the creation story was here and why did he have to come onto earth as many times as he did. So as we go on, in verse 6, he starts off by saying the first position the Godhead, Narayana, created was that of the sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who performed the most difficult discipline of continuous celibacy. Worshipping God, not maintaining this world, but literally just maintaining their soul to achieve Bhagwan. The Supreme and Joyous secondly assumed the form of a boar, for the welfare of the earth that had sunken to the lowest regions and lifted her up from the ocean. We know that story. We talk about that as the third incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Thirdly, he accepted his presence among the seers in the form of Narad Muni, for the sake of evolving the Vedic knowledge concerning the performance of devotional service free from material motives. We hear the great Saint Narad Muni, in a lot of different stories and a lot of different texts. But what we don't realize is that there is a piece of him that is Bhagwan Vishnu. Fourth, born as the twin sons of Murati, the wife of King Dharma, he in the form of Narayana subjected himself to the severe penances to obtain control over the senses. Fifth, he, carrying the name of Kapila, gave an exposition to the Brahmin Asuri on the nature of metaphysics and the elements of creation, because in the course of time that knowledge had been lost. So we didn't know what creation was for some time, but he manifested to give us the elements in the metaphysics and how that creation worked. What is the science behind it too? Sixth, as a son of Atri, named Dattatreya, being born from Anusuya, who prayed for him, he lectured to Alarka, Prahalad, and others about transcendence. What is transcendence? How do we transcend the modes of material nature? How do we transcend the aspects of the physical world? Seventh, being born from the Akuti as Yajna, the son of Prajapati Ruchi. He, together with his son Yama and other demigods, ruled during the period of Swayambhuva Manu and became the Indra. Eighth, from the wife of King Nabi, Merudevi, and the Almighty Lord took birth as King Rishabha and showed the path of perfection respected by people of all stages of life. Path of perfection, which essentially is becoming a king and showing what perfection truly is in the means of leadership and how we rule. His ninth incarnation he accepted in response to the prayers of the sages, whereupon he, as Prithu, ruled the earth for the sake of collecting her produces, her products, which made her most attractive. Assuming the form of a fish, Matsya, he, after the period of Chakshusha, Manu, protected Vayaswata Manu, keeping him in a boat afloat the waters when the world was deeply inundated. So that's his 10th form, or the 10th way we discuss Bhagwan Vishnu. These aren't in necessarily any specific order. I'm just letting you know this is how it's listed out in the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. And we know of the story of Matsya, Lord Matsya, how he, essentially the Noah's Ark kind of story of Sanatana. 11th, the mighty Lord, in the form of a tortoise, Kurama, sustained the hill of the theists and atheists that served as a pivot in the ocean. 12th, he appeared as the Hanwantari, the Lord of Medicine. We talked about that during Diwali. And 13th, he appeared before the atheists as an alluring, beautiful person and gave nectar to the demigods. And his 14th incarnation, he, half lion, appeared as Narsim, with who his nails on his lap tore apart the king of the atheists, Hiranyakashipu, like a carpenter splitting a cane. In his 15th form, he assumed the form of Vamana, the dwarf Brahmin, who went to the arena of sacrifice of Maharaja Bali to beg for only 3 steps of land, concealing his wish to regain the 3 worlds, bringing balance back. So again, some of these talk about how we live our lives. A lot of them are talking about how we live our lives. That's at least 10 of the forms. The other 10 talk about how we maintain this balance of good and evil in the world, or how we maintain that level of Sanatana Dharma that we need to have. In his 16th incarnation, he, as Brigupati, or Parshurama, saw that the ruling class was hostile towards the Brahmins and acted 21 times against them. Again, bringing balance back to the world. Bringing respect back to those who help educate. Seeing that the common people were less intelligent, he, 17th, incarnated as Vyasadeva, taking birth from Satyavati, with Parasas Muni as his father, for the purpose of dividing the desired tree of the Veda into several branches. So rather than having one big thing that we have to take into account for, separating it into its individual components so we can understand the Vedas in a better way. Next, he performed in a superhuman way of having assumed the form of a divine human being, Lord Rama, by controlling the oceans and such, so that he could act for the sake of the godly souls. His 19th and also 20th Bhagwan took birth in the Vrishni family as Balarama and Krishna, and thus removed the burden from the world. So I was wrong. It's more than 20. Thereafter, beginning the age of Kali, he appeared as Gayambihar, as the son of Anjana, with the name Buddha, for the purpose of deluding the ones envious of the theists. So that's form 21. And finally, in form 22, at the conjunction of the two yugas, this one and the next, which means the end of Kali Yuga leading into the next yuga. Because we talk about the end of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means the dark age. At the end of the dark age, it says that the world is going to be destroyed and reborn again. Now, there's ambiguity to that when we talk about what is destruction, what is creation. But it says that the conjunction where there is hardly a ruler who to be found is not a plunderer, an evil person, the Lord of creation carrying the name Kalki will take birth as the child of Vishnuyasa. So we talk about that 21st and the 21st in that last form, Kalki. Dear Brahmins, the incarnations of the Lord who appeared from the oceans of goodness are as innumerable as the thousands of streams we have from inexhaustible sources of water. So this is very important for us to learn and to understand. When we perform puja, we typically perform a puja to a main deva, let's say somebody like Lord Ganesh, and then it's auspicious to name all the names of Lord Ganesh. Lord Ganesh has hundreds, thousands of names. Typically we will recite 108 when we're performing a home. In this sense, we need to understand, and from that verse 26, the Lord appears from the ocean of goodness as innumerable as thousands of streams. We can't just look at the one stream as the most important, or the biggest streams as the most important. We have to understand that there are many streams that link back to one larger body, one larger source. That larger source that we look here is Lord Vishnu, but he exists in many ways, many shapes, many forms, many streams. Even the smallest trickle of water can help sustain life. That's the importance of that analogy. So whether you're worshipping Lord Vishnu, Lord Rama, whether you're worshipping Narasimha, whether you're worshipping one of the other 21 forms that we denote of Bhagwan Vishnu, you're still worshipping Vishnu. Bhajan, Kirtanam, puja, everything that we need, we're learning. All the powerful sages, the godly souls, the Manus and the progeny, as also as Prajapatis, are aspects of the Lord. They are all parts of, or plenary portions of, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, in person who offers protection during all ages and in all worlds against disturbances because of the enemies of the kings of heaven. Anyone who in the morning and evening carefully recites these mysterious births of the Lords will find relief from all miseries of life. So these souls, all their progeny, everything that is Bhagwan Vishnu or Bhagwan Krishna is a part of every single person here in the world and here a part of creation. If we recite his names, if we understand his names, if we understand his forms, we will find relief from all miseries of life. But why is that, devotees? We say that if we focus on Bhagwan, if we put our minds towards understanding the teachings of Bhagwan, then we'll learn more from Bhagwan. When you hear the name Lord Rama, you already think of the entire story of the Sri Ramcharitamanas. The time of his birth, his upbringing, the fact that he was exiled, the journeys in his exile, his marriage, the battle he had, the return back to Ayodhya. You think about all of that just by hearing that one name, Rama. When you hear Bhagwan Shri Krishna, you think about the words of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. You think about the birth of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, the circumstances that led up to his birth. You think about things like Govardhan Puja and the miraculous feats and amazing things that Bhagwan Shri Krishna did. When you hear the name Narasimha, you think about holy. You think about what it means. You think about Prahalad. You think about how devoted Prahalad was. You think about all the bad things that were about to happen to Prahalad before Bhagwan stopped it. The reason when we recite these 21 names is because it helps us remember the stories of Bhagwan. Yeah, sometimes we get a little vague. We hear the word Parshurama. We're like, who is that? That's Rama, Lord Rama with the axe? Parshurama? Is that who that is? But at some point in time, it helps us think about the stories of Bhagwan, connect back to Bhagwan, learn from Bhagwan. All these forms of the Lord that are qualities of the material, all of these forms of the Lord that by the qualities of the material energy were created with the ingredients of the cosmic intelligence and other elements originated from his self-awareness that is without a form. They are there for the less intelligent observer to be perceived the way the one sees clouds in the sky or dust in the air. We need something to focus on, essentially. We can see a cloud. We can't ever really touch that cloud, reach that cloud. Some of us who have been in the sky have been able to do that if you've gone skydiving or know how to fly a plane or a helicopter. But it's like a cloud in the air or dust. It's something for us to look at, to focus on. But to know that there's a greater thing beyond that as well. This unmanifest self in the beyond that cannot be seen or heard and has no form, that is affected by the modes of nature, constitutes the reality of the subtle self, who takes birth repeatedly. As soon as one by self-knowledge arrives at the rejection of all these gross and subtle forms that impose themselves on the soul because of ignorance, one arrives at the realization of the absolute truth. Once we stop focusing on this physical form, this physical world, once we stop focusing on ourselves and start focusing on something greater, we'll achieve that greatness. We know that there's an absolute truth, and we'll achieve that absolute truth. With the illusory energy subsided, one is endowed with the full knowledge of enlightenment, so that one, thus being mindful, will be situated in one's own glory. This is how the scholars arrive at the description of the birth and the activities of the actually unborn and non-engaged Lord of the Heart. It is the hidden meaning of the Vedas. Residing within every living being, he is the omnipotent master and the witness of the six qualities, the six objects of senses in the mind, and the opulences, whose play is spotless, who is independent and not affected by creation, destruction, and maintenance. So this omnipotent master, this immutable being, this Narayana, this Madhyatma, this great soul, resides in every single person, but he's not affected. That spark of God is not affected by the person. We talk about this time and time again. Because of his expert manipulations, his activities, names, and forms cannot be understood by the speculations and speeches of those with a poor fund of knowledge, just like fools cannot understand an actor's performance. Only he who renders unconditional, uninterrupted, favorable service to his fragrant lotus feet may know the transcendental glories of the all-powerful Creator with the wheel of the chariot in his hand. When one in this world succeeds and thus be cognizant with the personality of Godhead, who embraces all his universes as their Lord, and who inspires for the complete of the spiritual ecstasy, one will never again have to experience, therefore, the dreadful repetition of births and deaths. We, as human beings, grow up over time. We talk about children, babies. Babies are the most innocent, because they don't know right from wrong. They don't know good from bad, necessarily. They don't know discrimination. They don't know hate. But as we get older, and as we become more knowledgeable, sometimes bias gets introduced into our lives. The way we see people, the way we treat people, the way we talk to people, the way we talk about ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, how much ego we do or do not have. And then over time that corrupts us. When we're all teenagers, at some point, especially my generation, at some point, you stop believing in a higher power at times. You're the all-knowing at this point. You know everything. You know what's best for you. And we lose focus on what God is. God isn't necessarily just the being, it's the teachings. It's the way of life that we want to live. As teenagers, we tend to struggle a lot because we say, oh, why can't people treat me with respect? Or why can't people do this? Or why can't I ever have that? And what we need to realize at the end of the day is that stuff's not important. Now, if you want it, as you get older, you'll get it. Personally, when I was a kid, I wanted video games. My parents would get them for us on special occasions like Christmas or maybe a birthday. But on that note, as I got older, I was able to go get those things myself. Now, do I need them? No. Do I really play them that often? No, not really. Not really. I focus on too many other things. Focus on Serena, this house, the dog. Focus on my books, my scriptures nowadays, reading through different things, trying to understand different things, create new songs, things along those lines. But it took a period for me to get there because I was blind. I wasn't cognizant to that personality of Godhead while I was growing up. When we're not cognizant, it shouldn't be up to us to do things like yell at the younger generation. Call them ignorant. An ignorant person is going to be ignorant. You don't need to call them out. You live your own duty. Perform your own rights. When one in this world succeeds being cognizant with that personality, who embraces his universes, one will never have to experience that dreadful repetition of births and deaths. We can say that we do good in this world, but at the same time, devotees, we have to do good because we know what good is, and good is understanding that we have to achieve Bhagwan and live our life through the understandings, the teachings, and the learnings of Bhagwan. This book called the Bhagavatam, about the activities of the one hailed in the verses, as that supplement to the Vedas, was compiled by the seer of God, Vyasadeva, is there for all the ultimate good of bringing success, happiness, and perfection to all people. This story, that is the cream from the Vedic literatures and histories, was extracted and delivered to everyone who will become a self-realized soul. Now that Krishna has left for his abode, because remember, this discussion is happening after Krishna leaves this world. After he left his abode, and with him also proper conduct and spiritual insight have vanished, this Purana, bright as the sun, has appeared as a horizon for the sake of everyone who in the age of Kali Yuga has lost their vision. O great people, when the story was recited there by that powerful great sage, I, being perfectly attentive by his mercy, also managed to understand it, so that I will now relate it to you exactly as I learned it, free from the deviations by my own mind. Bhagwan is here, Bhagwan is there, Bhagwan is everywhere. We're at fault sometimes because in our ignorance we say that Bhagwan has 10 forms. Vishnu has 10 forms. The 10 forms that we talk about are the 10 forms that we tend to learn from. But we have to learn from all the forms, and that's why we're going to the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Because by learning all of the forms, by learning all of the stories, by learning all of the details, we as a community, we as a congregation, and we as a group, myself included, because this is a learning experience for me, will attain salvation. We'll learn together. Prem se Bolo Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Devotees, at this time, I ask that you join together with me as you go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax your spine, your shoulders, your neck, relax your forehead. With your body feeling fully relaxed, take all of your energy and try to focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus. And join together with me as we chant our closing prayers. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu Sarvesham Pururam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Om Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschita Duga Bhag Bhavet Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam Bhaktihinam Janardanam Yatya Pujitam Maya Deva Paripurnam Dharastu Me Papoham Papu Karmaham Papu Atma Papu Sambhava Trahimam Pundari Kaksham Sarva Papu Haru Hari Om Tvameva Matascha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Satuma Satyamaya Tamasuma Jyotirgamaya Mrityuma Mritam Yamaya Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Reo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Shanti Antariksha Om Shanti Prithvi Shanti Rapa Shanti Aushadaya Shanti Vanaspati Shanti Vishwadeva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvegam Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Sama Shanti Redhi Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Om Prem se Bolo Ganesh Bhagwan ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Saraswati Mata ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Adi Shakti Durga Mata ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Navgraha Devata ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Shiva Shankar Bhagwan ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Shiva Shakti Mandir ki Jai. Prem se Bolo Sanatana Dharma ki Jai. Devotees, with this we have come to the end of our Sunday morning satsang, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I apologize. I just looked down and saw a text message from Mahendra that says it's silent at the moment. And I think I muted the mic to clear up my throat. I didn't want to do that to all of you devotees. But like I said, thank you all for joining us today on our virtual Sunday morning satsang, whether you're here live with us today or watching in the future, because I know some of you aren't able to watch at the exact time. I do want to say Jai Sita Ram to Geeta, to Indira Didi, and to Auntie Zandra for tuning in and for typing some stuff into the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for chatting with us. I appreciate that. Devotees, as I had mentioned earlier, and let me pull up my notes really quickly. we did lose two very, very important people, and especially on my side of the family, we lost the Uncle Hector Nunez. Like I said, my dad sent me the information. His wake is actually being performed today from 2 to 4, and then another one from 7 to 9 at St. James Funeral Home, and that is at 829 Middle County Road in St. James, New York. With a mass being conducted tomorrow at 9:45 at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church, with the burial to follow. And again, that is all tomorrow. So to my Aunt Nancy, to your entire family, I was actually able, they have been, ever since he was sick, every night they were getting together and saying prayers and talking about Uncle Hector and talking about some great stories and doing a bunch of things. And I think that's a great example for everybody to live by. Just because somebody is not passed away yet because they're in such a dire situation should be still those important times for us to get together as a family, for us to remember God, to make those prayers, to say those things that we need to, for the betterment of the person, for the betterment of us, and for the betterment of the world. So I had the honor of sitting in with them on one evening and saying a few prayers, sharing some words of wisdom, and it was so heartwarming to be able to sit amongst that group and just have those discussions and say those prayers. So to you and your entire family, Aunt Nancy, we send our condolences for anything that you may need. We are here, and to Uncle Hector's soul, we hope he rests in peace. As I had also mentioned, devotees, over the week, we did get a notice that Uncle Balkaran had passed away suddenly over the week. Details in regards to the funeral, it will be coming out a little bit later. Again, the family is currently prepping and trying to get all of that information together and ready, and get something on the schedule for the funeral home. So to Auntie Mala, to Uncle Rashid, to Prem, Natasha, to your significant others, to your children, to every single one of you, we send our regards and our condolences to you on behalf of the Shiv Shakti Mandir. We are here to support you as a community with anything that you may need. We will continue to support you as we find out more information. We will, update everybody in regards to the funeral work that Uncle Balkaran is going to have. We do request, and when we have a little bit more knowledge, for those of you who are able to sing, if you could at least be present for one or two of the wakes, or maybe the funeral, or something along those lines, it would be much appreciated. As you all remember, and as you all know, Uncle Balkaran was a very big singer. He loved music. He loved the way it connected him to God. He loved the meaning behind the songs. And he was always very thoughtful and dutiful to make sure that he had a song to sing wherever he went. So for those of you who are skilled in singing music, it would be very appreciated from his soul, and I believe his family, if you could attend any of those wakes and provide a bhajan or song as you see fit or as time permits for all of you. But again, as we have more information that comes out, I'll make sure to keep you all updated on that as well. To turn it over to a few other things, we want to send some congratulations out to a few folks. So first off and I can call her my cousin, but she's technically my niece because her father is my cousin. To my niece or / cousin, Ravina, congratulations. She just graduated from college. Her father is so doting and loving. He always posts the most wonderful things about her and how well she's doing. She graduated with extremely high honors, extremely high grades. She did such a good job in her marketing classes and her business classes in university, and she just graduated and got her degree. So to Ravina, congratulations to you. And to my cousin Padmini, who I know has been working so hard and diligently in getting all of her educational duties out of the way and under the way so she can move on to her next step in becoming an employed person in the world. She finished her bachelor's some time ago. She actually just graduated this past week with her master's in clinical mental health counseling, which is an extremely important and extremely dutiful thing that we need in this world, because we know that as we continue to go on, mental health is important, communication is important. Our scriptures continue to talk about how important communication is and how important it is for us to have mental health so we can connect with others, connect with this world, but most importantly, attain salvation and connect with God. So to Padmini, congratulations to you on behalf of the Shiv Shakti family and my family as well. We want to wish you a very big congratulations and great job. I do want to say a few other things. We have a few birthdays that were celebrated this week. So first off, to Gabe Budlu, who celebrated his birthday on the 7th, we want to say happy birthday to you. To Vita Sukai, who is the daughter of Uncle Danny, she celebrated her birthday on the 9th, so happy birthday, Vita. And to Sister Mala, who is the wife of Brother Rama and the daughter-in-law of Auntie Gloria, she celebrated her birthday, I believe I'm reading this right, on the 8th. So to Mala, a very happy birthday to you. I hope all three of you had an extremely wonderful week. I hope that you got plenty of cake, plenty of love, hugs, and care from your family. And we just want to say to you all very, very happy birthday. I do not have any anniversaries on our list that have been celebrated this week, and I want to make sure I didn't miss anything else. I have nothing else on my list to update you all on. The only thing I want to let you all know is that we're still in progress of figuring out whether or not we're going to open up Mandir at the beginning of 2022 or not. Again, just ascertaining a few things. We do have the 2022 calendars ready. We still have not yet gotten, my dad has them down in Fayette County. We haven't just had time to get up to the Mandir to drop them off and leave them at the Mandir. So once we have the opportunity to do so, we'll make sure we get them up to the Mandir. We'll leave them in a locked bin outside of the Mandir so that way you can access, grab calendar, lock the bin back so those calendars don't get ruined by the weather or any sort of rain or water as weather tends to do. So with that being said, devotees, I want to thank you again for your time, your devotion, and dedication with us here on our continued Sunday morning services virtually on YouTube. Thank you to all of you for your support. I hope to see you all soon here in the future in person. But other than that, have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Jai Sita Ram.